facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here. Now, if you've ever felt a real craving to eat certain foods at certain times of days, it might be caused by emotional eating or childhood conditioning. I was working with a client that when they were growing up, their mother loved to cook and would love to bake and make cakes and desserts. And for her, it was not only a hobby, but it was a way of showing love and affection. Now, back at that particular time, there was less knowledge about the consequences of having too much sugar in the diets of children and childhood obesity. It was just doing something that she enjoyed and her child would also enjoy. It didn't feel like there was any harm involved. It was a very good intention. But that good intention meant that that child would consistently have more calories than they needed. It meant that they became the biggest person in their school classroom, and they got taunted and abused as a result of that. And that's evidence to demonstrate that someone can have a wonderful intention, but that wonderful intention can have undesirable consequences. That's also true if an adult is emotionally eating to keep themselves comfortable, to make themselves feel connected, and then it leads to a future stroke or heart attack or type 2 diabetes. The intention is good, but it can have undesirable consequences. This uses a different metaphor that uses two different timelines. So there's a photo album where they get to observe what happened in their childhood, so it makes sense why they've got this certain relationship with food at a particular time of the day. But then we introduce a different idea that what if their mother, instead of cooking and baking as their hobby, was reading, and reading was their hobby, and a way of demonstrating and showing affection and love was reading to their children? Well, their whole future would take a different trajectory. And what that does is it highlights that food is not the only way to show affection and love, and it's not the only way to do some expression of self-love, which is what I think this client was doing, because they were feeding themselves the kind of food that their mother used to give them at around the same time of day, which is in the evening just before they were sleeping. So there's a few different things here that encourage them to do good things for themselves that would completely change their relationship with food. And at the end of this, it utilizes that idea that you can have a relationship with food, and their relationship with fruit and vegetables might be the kind of relationship of a good, reliable, loyal friend, but the kind of relationship with refined carbohydrates, takeaways, and let's say hyper-processed food might be the kind of relationship, and everyone's got a friend like this that they've had in the past, of someone that is quite self-centered, quite selfish. They're there if it makes sense for them to be there on their terms, but they're not there for difficult times. Fast food and processed food could almost be like they're just there for the fun times and not there for anything else. In which case, seeing that kind of relationship as that kind of one-sided relationship can be quite empowering to make a change. So if you emotionally eat, if you feel like you're having too much of takeaways and hyper-processed food and refined carbs like biscuits and bread and things like that, you might get some value from this session. Just be aware, though, that it was calibrated to the client that I was working with. They had a mother that would feed them lots of cakes and desserts. That might not be your situation. So extract the value that is useful for you, disregard anything that isn't. And if you like the idea of working with me directly, there will be a link in the actual description of this episode that you can find a link to book a free consultation call, or you can visit my website, adamcox.co.uk, Book the consultation call there. We'll have a chat, and who knows, we might end up working together one-on-one rather than you just listening to my recordings. For now, though, you might get some real value from this session. So find a quiet, comfortable place, the kind of place that you're not going to be distracted or disturbed. Relax and enjoy the session.
This episode is brought to you by Stouffer's. Here comes 3-time juggling champion Natalia Rogers. She's juggling law school, her TA job. Oh, narrowly catches the laundry. What's that fourth ball? Parents unexpectedly showed up at dinner time? Is that too much for Natalia? Not with Stouffer's Chicken Alfredo and its mouth-watering mix of Asiago, Romano, and Parmesan. When you're juggling 4 things at once and the clock strikes dinner, think Stouffer's.
Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in that feeling of calm relaxation. And as you exhale, feel a wonderful feeling of release. As if any tension, stress, and worries are gradually, incrementally leaving your body in your outward breath. And the deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you feel. And the more relaxed you feel, the deeper you breathe. And allow your mind to take you to the kind of place where that first minute after you awake, or the 3 minutes before you drift off to sleep, where imagination blends with reality, or those times when you've been lost in a good book, turning pages without realizing, or perhaps when your eyes defocus and you drift off into a world of daydreaming. As you breathe in and breathe out, drift to that place where words become images, images becomes meanings. And I wonder, as your body relaxes, just how your imagination can enhance and amplify. And I want you to imagine one of those old-fashioned photo albums. You remember the ones. Big, thick books, often leather-bound. And on each page, maybe 4 or 5 pictures. Photos. Printed from long ago. And I want you to imagine that this doesn't have to be a real photo album. It's a photo album in your imagination that means that you're able to collapse time, able to see trends that took place over years. When a tree is growing in your own garden, you don't see it grow. But someone that visits perhaps once a year notices the growth of that tree. As you flick through the pages of this photo album, see yourself perhaps 3 or 4 years old, and perhaps notice just how early in your life that food was used as an expression of love. Maybe there were birthday parties with a big cake, lots of chocolates, biscuits. Maybe there's a photo that you can connect to a memory of seeing your mother cooking, baking, preparing food. And as you turn the pages, you see a pattern emerging. Your mother's hobby was cooking. She felt good when she cooked, but she felt even better seeing the reaction of those people eating the food that she had cooked for. She felt good in the moment and good after, and maybe it even linked to her identity. She wasn't just cooking, she was a cook. And notice, all of these are wonderful intentions. To get good at something, to learn a recipe, to share something with the people that she loved. All of it was wonderful intentions. But I want you to see that you as a child having these desserts, these foods that were rich and heavy, started meaning that that younger version of you was consuming more calories than you could expend. And as you turn the pages of the photo album, see how you were getting bigger, not just taller, but bigger. And then see the impact that that had. And children can be cruel and unfair. And I want you to observe. Like pictures coming alive, turning into short movies of the taunts, shaming, mocking. I want you to see how a wonderful intention can lead to an undesirable consequence. I want you to keep going through the photos and see how this continued. You may even see a pattern where some days returning from school, maybe there was sadness or rejection, feeling low or anxious. And perhaps you can see a relationship forming with food, where food became self-medication, a way to change how you felt, not because you were hungry, but because you wanted to change how you feel. And if you can recall memories like that, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. The intention is wonderful, to make you feel better. But by using food as a way to make you feel better, what if that is like throwing gasoline on a fire to put it out? The intention could be good. The consequence can be undesirable. So let's imagine a different reality. Put that photo album down and imagine a different photo album where when your mother was young, she learned that reading was a wonderful hobby, not cooking. She would read things for herself, but she would also read to you. And imagine observing that after mealtime, she would read you a story. Instead of preparing a dessert, in this different reality, telling you stories was her primary act of love and affection. And I want you to see how the timeline changes. If day after day there was just a different story, rather than a different dessert, what impact did that have on your body shape? One change ripples through time and suddenly means that as an adult, there's a craving. at around 9 p.m. to read something in the same way that your mother would have read to you at 9 p.m. Imagine reading to yourself, an act of self-love. Eating a delicious dessert right before you sleep ensures all of that glycogen there in your blood has nowhere to go. Your body is forced to release insulin to turn the excess into body fat. But reading doesn't create a spike in glycogen, doesn't create a need for your body to produce more insulin, doesn't mean that you're accumulating stored energy in body fat cells. And I want you to imagine, as you flick through this different reality, how your body shape would have looked when you were 5, and then 7, and then 10 years old. How would you have looked at 13 and then 15? And maybe in this parallel universe, some devastating issue, perhaps caused by lots of sugar, fats, or refined carbohydrates, doesn't happen. I want you to get a sense that it is all cause and effect. And sometimes there's a lag time between what's being done and what the consequences of that thing is. No judgment, no shame, just information. And I want you to step into that photo album in this different reality and imagine what it would be like, where every evening you were told a story instead of having a dessert. How many days would it take until you looked forward to that story? And maybe in that reality you observe your mother spending less time in a kitchen and more time reading a book. That gave her pleasure, satisfaction, time for herself, maybe leading to a different identity. And imagine being in that younger version of you, and that was your reality day after day. Imagine building the neural pathways where being read a story or having a conversation, that was how you experienced love from your mother. Imagine looking at yourself in the mirror at 10 years old, seeing how different your body shape was. I want you to get a feeling that food is just neutral, fuel and nutrients. It's the emotional attachments we connect to it. It can mean that something harmless in a small dose can become a problem if over-consumed. I want you to get a feeling that if that was your childhood, how likely is it that at 9 p.m. you'd be craving something processed or refined? Wouldn't it be more likely that you would crave something that satiates you intellectually or creatively or something else? Imagine putting that photo album down and thinking about the relationship that you have with food. Imagine yourself in your kitchen. I want you to see a bowl of fruit, a selection of vegetables, lean proteins like meat or fish, and then processed food, refined carbohydrates, takeaways. And I want you to think that if that bowl of fruit was a relationship or a friendship, what kind of friendship would it be? And would you want to keep that friendship or invest more time nurturing that friendship? And then look at the vegetables. And then imagine thinking to yourself, if that was a friendship, maybe it would be that more boring, predictable, but loyal, reliable friend. The friend that really cares about the quality of your life, your health. And would you want that relationship to be even stronger? And then look at the proteins. And as you look at the proteins, maybe this is a friend that wants you to be strong and lean and healthy, to help your body repair. And if these three friends or relationships seem strong and desirable and helpful and loyal, let me know by nodding your head. And the final relationship there is with this processed food, takeaways, refined carbohydrates. And maybe this is just the kind of friend that is only there for a good time. While pleasure is there, they're around. But if they don't get their way, they get cranky, persuasive. Maybe they're selfish or self-centered. Maybe they want things on their terms. And sometimes with a friendship like that, you need to reevaluate that friendship. Maybe have a boundary, or only see them in very specific occasions. I want you to imagine that if someone's primary relationship with food is that good time Charlie with the processed food, their body would be a reflection of that. But if the primary relationships with food were with real, whole, nutritious foods, the body would also be a reflection of that. And what if now is a good time to reevaluate your relationships, to have more of what you want and less of what you don't? I want you to imagine that around 9 p.m. you'll have a desire to do something that satiates you in a way that food can never. It makes you feel good, proud, accomplished or relaxed. Imagine having a real craving to get ready to sleep not long after, knowing that good sleep is the most loving gift that you can give yourself. I want you to imagine that these changes aren't about sacrifice and not being allowed to do things. It's about discernment, doing more of what you really want and less of just responding to echoes of your past or indulging false friends. And if your unconscious is ready to go on a quest to explore the perfect balance of what you do when you do it, let me know by nodding your head. It's time to leave this place in your imagination with a sense of clarity, optimism, perhaps even excitement on the new quest that you are embarking on, knowing that when you find those right relationships, rituals and routines, it's just a ripple effect that will take your life in a wonderful new direction. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, connect and calibrate into the here and the now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, so no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free, there will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.